during our next service. So I would like to take this time to call the meeting to order and first order of this is a short prayer and that's the dinner.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Also with you.
Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for this church on land that is Dakota land, where Cloudman, Black Dog, Wabasha, and Shakopee people are on their land. And God, we thank you, and we hope and pray and work hard that we use this church, its people, and all of our gifts to do your will, to bring peace. As your apostle wrote to the Colossians, above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony, and let peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in the one body, and be thankful. Help us, Lord, in our meeting today. Most of all, it's with the spirit of gratitude we come to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Well, does everybody have a copy of the annual meeting?
When did it get sent?
I can screen share and show the report.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, I've got it. It's okay. I
still want to know if that's what we would like to do, because I can
Yes.
put it up on the screen.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
There's
Yes.
in places where you really need to read it, I will go full screen width. So like for the budgets and stuff like that. But generally I'll just put up the one page, and then so you can kind of see where we're all, and then the person who's responsible for that page should talk it through. So let's see if I can find that. Here we go. At least we'll try it that way for a while. Hang on.
What did you do?
Hang on.
While Ron is doing that, I just want you to know that we have paper hardcover copies of this at the church. If you want to come pick it up, you can arrange that. Otherwise, Anne has also emailed it to all of you with email. Anyway, let me know later after the meeting if you'd like me to bring you a copy. God bless you.
Okay, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Like I say, I can make it go full screen if that's necessary. Where do we want to start?
We have the, on page 5, we have the mission, the vision, the staff, and council, which I think everybody can take. It's on page 5.
I really can't hear Abe at all.
No, I can't either.
Can you hear me now?
Stand by a microphone.
I am standing by the microphone.
Okay.
Want to sit right up here? So we can see you guys. Hey, you want to try playing right here?
Ron, can you hear me now?
Yep,
Right here.
that's a little better.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, like I was saying, on page 5, all it talks about is the mission, our vision, the staff, and the things. then next we have, I think there's a letter from the bishop on page 6. I don't think I have to read that to you. Maybe it's something you can read through. On page 8, we have the minutes of the annual meeting, January 26, 2020. I will give you a chance to look through it and see if you have any comment.
How's your knee?
Pardon me?
What that is.
You didn't get it yesterday because I weren't out yet, so. Oh. Right. Oh, still don't feel, I felt my head strong, but I'm shaky and kind of weak. That was hell yesterday. From 2 o'clock till about 5:30. I had all I could do to get this done out here, dry heaves. One right after the other yesterday. Oh. My stomach hurt so bad from all the. About 5 minutes, I lay down, and another 10 minutes, I'm back up. I said, I'm going to use the bucket. The hell with running to the toilet.
Well, yeah.
There ain't nothing coming up, so there's no sense in running to the toilet.
Yeah, right.
So I'm saying to myself, well, one time I don't run to the toilet, but I didn't have anything in my body, so there was nothing should have came up.
Oh.
All right. I assume that most of us
No,
have.
I mean, my whole head pounded this time. My whole head.
Hey, Mary,
I woke up that.
Mary, can you mute?
4 o'clock in the morning. It just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
Can you mute her, Ron?
I'm trying, but it doesn't seem.
Even the sleep pills didn't work too good. They only knocked me out for like 15 minutes. The pain was so bad it waked me right back up.
Oh, I don't know.
Mary?
You know,
Is that Mary Leno?
Yeah.
Mary!
Mary?
Mary, you're not muted. We can hear everything.
that is doing better.
Oh, I'm better than.
There.
Is that
Ron, you're muted.
You are muted, Ron.
Ron, you're muted.
Ron, can you hear? Can everybody hear me now?
You turned yourself off. There
Okay.
you go.
I was just saying that I can't really mute people while we're in screen sharing mode. Louise had a good question, which I didn't know how to deal with, which was, is there a way that we can have captioning so that that Jay can, see what's being said? And I'm not sure, Louise, do you know how to do that? I know it can be done on YouTube very easily.
He's muted.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do it.
There she goes.
Louise, do you know how to do captioning while we're doing this?
No, but I can ask my dad.
Okay, well, if you find out, let us know, because I'd be happy to do that. Okay, Abe, did you, has anybody got any corrections to the notes from last annual meeting? Were you able to read them as we went through? I was trying to scroll through. I don't know if that was helpful or not. I'm sorry, this is all an experiment. So we're gonna have to figure out how to do it as we go.
It's amazing how much changed, because there was a reference to talking about safety in the building, and I had to try to remember what that safety was about, because we were talking about guns on the premises or mass shootings or something, and that was so long ago.
Yeah, it was all about, I think Pastor had talked with some of the law enforcement people, the Roseville, and they decided to, that's why we kept stressing on lock the door when we get in church, lock the door. That's why, because you don't know who to come through, to do something stupid. I think that's why that all, that was all about.
Hey, can I tell a joke quick? Or is that not a good time? I just want to tell you that yesterday I picked up a shaver to comb my beard. Well, anyway, I shaved and I got a real buzz from it.
All right.
There doesn't seem to be any further feedback on the minutes, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last year's meeting.
Oh.
Was there a second?
I'll second. Nobody else did.
Thank you.
Carol seconded.
What, it has been moved and seconded that we accept our minutes as it is. All in favor of us accepting our meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we go to a presentation of reports. That is on page 11. Well, before we get to, Ron, can you hold on right there, please? This is my report. It was, I would like to say thanks to all the members of Galilee, the congregation as a whole, for the length of time we all work together. I've enjoyed really working with Galilee, and Galilee is my home church. Somebody asked me, Abraham, when you leave as president, will you still continue to come to church? I said, sure. So I look forward to working with everybody, and this is it. I mean, we struggle 2020. We strive, we made way to be together. We fought hard, we distanced ourselves, but we still stuck together. That's why God gathered what we are today, can see one another. So I thank you for the time, we have been working together. Next we have,
Oh, it's a church meeting, annual meeting.
What?
The annual meeting.
What?
Annual meeting.
Hi, Bill.
Dana says, hi, Bill.
Oh. Oh,
Hi, Sarah.
oh.
Hi.
Hmm.
See?
What's that for?
Well, we grew this year. We grew by 6 more members, thanks be to God. And with the confirmations on the right-hand side, we now have a healthy bunch of young adults in Galilee. So that's very wonderful. That's my highlight from this page.
Next, thank you, Pastor. Next, we'll have pastor's report. The pastor, you got any comment to make on it? Okay. Right, that's pastor report. And don't do it.
Ron, can you widen it out?
Yeah, I can do that whenever you need to read through it. So
We can move along. I think
is there anything, Pastor, you would like to highlight in the report?
yes, that we are having Zoom gatherings on Wednesdays at 2. And we are walking together once a week. It will now be in Harmar Mall on Tuesdays at 4. So if you need to get together, and also here in the church, anyway, I want to give pastoral care to everyone. Call me if you need anything. Thank you. Next page.
Next, we have the worship and music team. Joanne, will any one of you want to make any comment or?
Papa. Okay, can you hear me? This is Lori.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've had it hopefully on mute. So worship and music has been adapting as everyone else has, but we really need to thank Joanne, who has done music, Pastor, who has pushed through to get us through outdoor parking lot services, and the organists and everybody, the assistant ministers. And we really thank Ron, who makes it possible for us to have those services and get them online. So I just like to say it, a rounding thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And just to make a little comment on the worship music team, I think you all have done, especially when you did a very good job taking a risk to come and sit among us to play music. Thank you for the hard work.
I should suggest that those of you who are watching this, up in the upper right corner, there is a little series of a thing that you can click so as that you don't see any faces, or you can see, if you click the one with just one line on it, then you'll be able to see the person who's talking. And I think that's the best way to do this, because then who's ever talking about the report will be visible. But the rest of us should try to be quiet during the meeting so that we don't show up on there as speaking. And this means you, Mary Lanou, appearing for some reason. Anyway.
I would like to say that it's been wonderful on the recorded Sunday services. We can tell who's at church then on the Sundays, because it almost sounds like a choir singing some Sundays. So you guys are doing an excellent job at coming across, so it doesn't sound like just one person there.
Usually 3 or 4 people singing, and we try to blend them And
You're
when,
doing a beautiful job.
when Abe is there, we try to sit him farther away. No offense, Abe.
Thank you, Ron.
Oh,
All right, that's it. Report from the worship and music team. Now, is there anybody who's willing to make some comment on the quilting group? If not, I think I saw Laurie, and Ilbra. They tried to Ilbra, to see if they would come into a quilt. I said, sure, the place is wide open, so they used to come in and do their quilting. So far, I think that's why I saw the quilters playing.
Yes, Eldry, this is Lori, and Eldry did contact me with leaving now. I can't. So I know Eldry is still would love if anybody would like to come to church and quilt, contact her because I think she's been going just by herself up in church too. But we do have quite a few quilts done. And as you can see, we do give them to the high school graduates and then also confirmand and other people. So I think it's a great mission and thanks a lot to Eldry.
And thanks to you. I think she came along one day and I said, oh, where are all your quilters? She said, oh, nobody, they ought to come out today, but so I think Cherry and I were here, so we helped her to set up, and she was okay doing it alone. All right, thank you. Next, we go to Christian education and youth, and then comment.
Okay, that's me and Ron, or Ron and me. And just kind of wanted to highlight just a couple things on here. You can kind of read it for what it says. We had perfect attendance at confirmation. I know that was really exciting. We had the confirmations of Kendra, Jeremy, Monique, and Admira. Congratulations to Kendra Furman for receiving the Kiwanis Leadership Award sponsored by George Gloria.
And that was Louise. Yay.
Yeah. Oh, that was Louise. Sorry, I got that wrong. That's I'll have to. Well, just know it was Louise. Congrats, Louise. Let's see. Globe offering. Despite the COVID year, we were able to send some money over for the Globe offering over to Yemen, which was really a pleasant thing, despite our little pandemic we have going on here. Let's see, what else can I highlight? Before COVID, Moonlight Madness had an overnight bus trip. Let's see what else. Pastor Dana and I continued to help people practice their English in the Rice Street Gardens. And then the biggest thing probably in regards to Christian education and youth was our combined efforts to participate in the Connect the Drops program. Basically that we did things to be aware of how water is involved in shaping our faith and how we need to conserve it, and what we like smart salting, being aware of the watershed, and what happens if our waters become polluted. There were several Zoom sessions on things, youth telling their stories about their experiences with water, as well as on July 12th, 2020, we had a get together at Lake McCarran's and we went canoeing. And someone, thank you to Tom for teaching someone how to canoe. That was a lot of fun. I don't know, the rest of the stuff, I think you could probably read on your own, but I want to thank Connect the Drops, Heidi, Pastor Dana, Tom, Elaine, Joe Davis, Amy, and Barb, and all the other people that contributed to the Connect the Drops program. I know I learned a lot. I hope other people did too. So I think that's my report, our report.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was well done.
Thank you.
Maybe make one comment, which is that I really think we should begin doing adult forums again, Teresa, and whoever else is on the committee. We should try to come up with some adult forums that occur after the church services on Zoom. I think we could do that successfully if we have some interesting speakers or other things. We should talk and see if we can come up with good ideas.
I see you. I see you, little bud.
You're on the screen.
Did that happen?
Oh, you're walking.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's how you get from point A to point B.
So for family and community, maybe, or not? For family and community, thank you so much, community of Galilee, for everything you do to bring life-giving life to the community around us. And thank you for this good report, Cheryl and Karen and Darla.
Yeah.
Who is that, the pastor?
Yeah. Come on.
2021. Do you want to go to the property report on page 22? Or would anyone like to?
Tell me when I should move to the next one if you're.
Okay, while you're there, let's.
Well, I don't really have much to say on property. Except for the spring, I think we'll have to figure out a way of coming and doing a spring cleanup, maybe with people being in different areas of church and working on single projects. I might be saying that Darla for other work in the garden. Yeah. That's about it. I don't know if there's any questions.
And just to comment on that, we had a nice day. Terry went and he purchased something for our slide, but we couldn't install it. We're waiting that we can see some sunshine. We'll give it on. And I would like to say a big thank you to Darla and Nelson who kept our yard very clean. The whole while we had our outside service, flower looking nice, flower growing fine. She did a lot of cleaning, so I would just like to say thank you, Darla, for the wonderful job.
I saw a thing the other day, how you boil a perfect egg to egg salad. You put the eggs in the water, you bring them to a boil, you shut them off, and you put a cover on.
Mary, we can still hear you.
I keep trying.
Mary,
I keep trying.
I don't need to know how to boil an egg.
I keep muting her, but then she keeps coming back.
Somebody else keeps doing that too.
Hello.
What's going on?
Evangelism, Ron?
Move to evangelism. Property team is so wonderful.
I have a question on property.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah.
back to property.
I wanna know, if they are able to, fix the leak in the little storage room behind where the, fellowship room. And I wanna know if they're able to get rid of the mice.
Well, with the mice, it is something in process. We got it set. We're waiting to see which one will get stuck. Then we'll report to you. But until now, we got everything in place, waiting to see who will jump on it. And nice, you're talking about there was a sink that was plugged in the ladies' bathroom. Dara and I work on that. I think it should be working fine.
It's just worried about the leak in the closet. We have the leak this year,
We haven't had any leak in the closet.
seems like it's just, if it clogs up on the roof, then you get a little bit of leakage in the basement. But we haven't had that since then. We might never have it again.
I hope so. All right, Ron, do you want to, let's go to right split guiding. Thank you to the evangelism team.
Should we mention about the blood drive? Do you want to say something about the blood drive?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the evangelism there.
I'll come up.
Okay, Jim is coming to.
Jim Hart is coming up to the microphone to talk about evangelism.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Last April 15th was our first blood drive. It's very successful. We've had them almost every month since then. The next one will be on February 17th, and then they'll be back to the first Wednesday of the month.
He's there. He just can't see it.
Yeah. As long as they can hear you guys, fine. I really thank the leadership of Jim Hart of the blood drives. It's life-saving work, and it's continual every month through the COVID, and they really need blood right now. And I know we can totally depend on Jim Hart to always be there to open the door for the Red Cross and make sure they get in and get out. So, yeah, excuse me for interrupting. But.
Last month we had 35 units, which was almost the best they ever had. I was told. So, plus it's a good way to, I didn't know, I stay for a while and I come back later on. It's a good way that people, oh, I love that church. So it's a good way to build up the church a little bit, market the church. That's why we pull them. Should I give them, since I'm up here, should I give them on the donut? Okay. Sure. I'm hoping to get the donut group going by mid-May again, once the people get back from vacation and see how this virus situation is. So I sure miss that. I mean, I've been Tuesday donuts and stuff before we came. Not the man, when we brought them uphill after that. So I'm hoping to get the donut group back again. That's my hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I would like to say a big thank you to Jim too, because he was always here. Every time I got here, Jim was here, the door open for the blood drive. He was always here. He never missed a day. So thank you, Jim, for the hard work. Next, we have the, Ron, do you want to make any comment on the right split garden?
Not particularly. The garden went really well this year. I think despite the fact of we had COVID, we couldn't, it took us a long time to decide to go ahead, and we decided to take a chance, and we had like 10 additional rules that we translated into different languages so that everybody knew how to deal with the COVID problem. And I think it actually worked out pretty well. We had tremendous help from the gardeners this year in terms of keeping place mowed and clean, especially Mr. Shui, who kind of lives out there and just loves to mow, which was helpful. There's a good chance that through this. Let me.
Because somebody on there is.
Full head.
Oh, and I think.
I'm gonna
figure it out what the hell it is, but I've been listening to an annual meeting at the church on Zoom. Maybe that.
I think I unmuted you properly. Anyway, just a quick story. There's a decent chance that that Galilee won't be able to garden there next year. There's a plan for the land to be purchased and and condominiums and two-story houses built kind of throughout the area. They hope to keep the garden going in 2022, but it would be like 1/10 the current size. Although they seem to be very ambitious, but they're being pressured by the costs of actually, I mean, if they're going to be building buildings, they have to figure out how to make some money at it. And they were hoping to get a lot of support from different government agencies, which is probably not coming through. So I think the garden will be completely different next year if it exists at all. But 2021, we're proceeding ahead as usual, and it's been kind of a wonderful experience for the last 5 years, and it helped a lot of people, about 250 each year, so the families. So it's been really great. Anyway.
Would you like to comment on what role Galilee would be playing, Galilee's responsibility at a garden, like you told me, you want to maybe say something about that? Can you hear me, Ron?
I couldn't understand the question.
The question was, do you want to make any comment or for other people to know what role Galilee will be playing? What leadership Galilee will be playing in the garden? You remember you told me something about what responsibility Galilee will have at the garden?
Well, we are currently the fiscal agent, so all the funding for it goes through us, including funding from Chicago's ELCA. If, as I was suggesting, next year, 2022, that everything might change, you know, and I don't know even if the garden will exist. So if it does, if it exists, we probably will continue to play some role. Whether we have to become you know, a profit-making corporation to keep going, I don't know. It's going to be, it's completely up in the air for 2022.
Who's trying to buy it though?
Oh, there's a company called PAC Properties and PAK Properties, and the person who owns it is really very well-meaning. They're trying to build housing that's like 2 stories high with, so that families can move in there. They're like condos with underground parking and maybe 8 condominiums scattered around the whole area over 7 acres. And it would be the kind of place where families could move in. Some of the houses have a bedroom on the first floor in case there's a grandma or grandpa who can't get up the stairs. So they've been very thoughtful. They've been getting input from the community about what's needed around here. But I think the whole thing is kind of iffy because they don't have enough money to make it happen. They haven't bought the property officially. And there's they were trying to get special funding from 2 different places, one tax incremental funding and something else, and both are very difficult. So the whole thing may, we'll see. That's all I know about it though.
Okay.
All right.
In some ways, it would be nice if they built these family units with enough room for bigger families. I think it would be a a useful addition to the community, although the garden would probably disappear in that case.
I agree with you. Thank you. I'm wondering how affordable that is though,
Oh, I think
but I don't know.
they were shooting for 60% of the average area rental, which is so. But in order for them to get some project funding from the government, it has to be at 30% of the average area rental costs. So I'm guessing that's probably only like, what, $300, $400 a month. So, but I don't think they can.
Cars out there? Huh? Okay.
I don't think they can pull it off financially if they have to go to 30%. So, and it's
Although
not.
that would be ideal.
Yeah,
That affordable housing is
that would be
such
really
high demand.
affordable, and yeah, it'd be nice. But I think then they can't make any money at it. So that's why I'm thinking the whole thing might collapse.
Sure.
Anyway, probably enough said about the garden.
Thank you, Ron. Next up, we have the outreach team report.
Okay, I can probably talk about outreach.
Yeah.
Just look at, we've done all of the things that we normally would do. We just organize on Zoom. So if you look on the page 24 that Ron has up, those are the basic categories. But Ron, will you go to the next page? And go up. There you go. Okay. I just wanted you all to know what's been happening with the money from the Brazzi. And so if you look, we've received last year plus the December before a total of $68,000, which is incredible. And it all has to be spent on outreach. So we've written down what we've spent everything. Well, I mean, we spent $12,000. But so it's like rent, it's beginning a whole UHOMANY microfinance program, which is a ring of hope. And we started off with $5,000, which is what you need to start it. They had nothing and there's no bank. So that I hope is really great. We had senior scholarships and students who are now seniors. We can help you a little bit out with a $600 scholarship in spring. We helped out at Bethlehem Lutheran after the riots on University Avenue. They were handing out clothes and they were doing food. And then quilting supplies, it seemed only rational to give money to quilting because that was Lois Levan's big time thing. And scholarship for youth secondary students, a new slide for the playground, the globe, since there wasn't that much money and we added 500. For the little library through that. So that, and I've sent a note to one of the daughters of the Brazzis to let her know what's been happening. And then if you go to the next two pages, you have our whole budget for the year, and you can see where money has gone. Maui and Ori in South Sudan, and he is now retired. The UHOMANY, the $1,000 is just for the general upkeep. Growing through loss, Isaiah. In-house helping out. Michael Lindell and his wife Tammy are in Italy. LCA disaster relief, the Angel Fund, which helps people in the Roseville area when they can't be on any kind of welfare. Christmas Exodus lending to help people get out of payroll.
Oh boy.
And the midwife scholarship was in Timor-Leste, and that wonderful young lady is doing great there. So that's what we have done. And Ron, if you can go to the next page. And down to the bottom, down. Okay, anyway, we are left with $1,200. Our next meeting is a week from tomorrow. Anybody wants to join us on Zoom, let me know. It would be great. So This is 5% of what we get as non-restricted funds. And we've done a lot with it, so thank you very much. And gosh, thanks to the Brazzi family. Any questions?
Thank you, Miriam. Anybody got a question for Miriam? Miriam? Any comment?
If you ever want to donate food, just either let me know and I could pick it up, or you can just put it by the red wagon in the narthex if you have a key. Okay.
And thank you, Miriam. And in addition to that, I would like to say thank you, Miriam, for keeping the small library on there functioning. You have been very busy doing that. Thank you again.
I think we can move to page 29. Great.
Yeah, we thought already, we not give already. Yeah. Bob, you have anything on order there?
Nothing to add. We weren't called on to do much this year, but we're ready for next year as soon as we can get back to the church.
Barb?
Yeah.
Barb?
Yeah.
While we're on that page, will we be wanting any kind of lilies at Easter time? For the
I don't
altar?
know yet. I would wait and see what the worship and music committee ends up planning for Easter, and then
Okay.
we'll decide.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Anybody want to make any comment on Galilee?
Just encourage I'd like us after, it'll be real quick, and then Joyce. A lot of these women are new members of Galilee, and so let's remember them, even though we don't get to see them every Sunday. But you can look at their faces. Some are in the directory. Let's, even though they're brand new to the church, reach out so they can feel it every day more at home.
It's a fun group of ladies and they do some nice things around. So if you want to join sometime or just come once or twice, that's great.
All right, thank you. And a report on the stewardship.
This is Barb. As we have our congregation always seems to do, we've stepped up to meet the challenge. And for 2021, we received 34 pledges totaling $108,960, which is fantastic. And I think I'm very optimistic about 2021. So that's it.
Thank you, Bob. Any comment? Well, next we come to I think I will.
Abraham?
Yes.
I had a comment. Did we apply for a second PPP loan?
This is Barb. We did not apply because we did not qualify for a second. You have to demonstrate a reduction in income of 20% to apply for a second one. And we did not have that kind of reduction. So we do not qualify for the second PPP loan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's the nominating team report.
Abe, this is Barb. I think that's on the agenda later in the meeting.
Then I was loud. What?
You want to skip
Okay.
by?
Yes, Ron, can you go to page 33, please?
What? What?
I can't wait till we can make coffee and drink it together during these meetings. It'll come one day soon, everybody. Hang in there. Usher's report.
Well, let me say, so Steve, who is our usher, chief usher.
Does Miriam, does Steve have any comments by telephone?
About the ushers? Nothing to say, he says, just you can read it and see what's there.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, on wellness, because of COVID, a lot of activities were canceled, especially since there wasn't any indoor church service. There are a number of things that happened. A number of members had made masks to hand out. The Red Cross blood drives have been in the building. A couple of the members have assisted in the blood drive and checking people in. I am doing remote healing touch. If anyone is interested, they can contact me. Mary and other members have been very busy praying. And the quilt, the prayer shawls have been being handed out in great numbers, which is nice to see. Any questions?
I personally want
courses in healing. If anyone's interested in courses in healing touch or aromatherapy, we do have partial scholarships. What, Pastor?
I just thank the healer, the Mary Lanou, the head of the prayer chain, for all the praying and praying through this difficult. We've lost a lot of people they've gone to heaven because COVID took them from the earth, and we are, etc. And I want you to know that our secretary, our administrative assistant, Ann Ricken, she has been asking for prayers for months because it was possible she might have Parkinson's disease. And it turns out this last week, it's been confirmed that she does have Parkinson's disease. And she said it's absolutely fine that the congregation knows this. And she asked for prayers. She's scared and sad about it. And it's brand new, that adventure for her to go on a life with Parkinson's. So we thank you for your love and care for her. Feel free to reach out to Ann. She's continuing to work amazingly as usual. And I just thank you for the prayer team that's been holding her up for these months of uncertainty. And she made this beautiful book for us, and she's just our champion. And that's it.
All right, thanks for the wellness team. Now we have the mutual ministry report of them.
Mutual ministry only met in January, February, and March. And so we look forward to getting together again sometime when we all are vaccinated. So that's it for page 35.
Gotta go.
But then I'll go on to the financial secretary's report. So pages 36 and 37. And the most important thing, of course, is the year to date. So this is the report from December, which will be the year to date. And if you'll notice that the general revenue, which is not specific to anything, is 164,000. That's in the yellow. And that then with everything added, like all of the loans and everything else, was $235,000. So it's just amazing what Galilee has come through in a very difficult time. And I thank you all so much. And that's the Minnesota Faith Chinese rent and the our other rent. So If you look through it, if you have any questions, remember we got a $2,000 grant from the St. Paul Area Synod. We got the 22,000 from the federal government, and that has made a huge difference. And Barb will tell you where we are ahead or behind.
And a question for Miriam, and a comment.
What are these minus 15,000? What's that for?
That was just moving, this is Barb, that was just moving it from the outreach fund to the memorial fund. That was it, part of the one of the Brazzi payments got put into the outreach, and it should have been in memorial. So that's basically moving it.
Thank you for the clarification. And a question for Miriam. Thank you, Miriam. Let me go to the financial secretary's report.
That's me. Yeah, this is a condensed version of where we are. So the upper part shows where our funds are checking. We have the Thriving investment and then the savings. So we have about 208,000 in funds. And then the rest of that shows how those funds are allocated. The first section, that 1,300 and that 100, that's December payroll taxes that were due at the end of December, but paid in January. But at the end of the year, they had not been paid. So that's what those two numbers are. The current liability, that 3,800, the majority of that is when it was still a possibility that we would go to Tanzania this year. Pastor Dana gave $4,000 to cover her costs, and that didn't happen. So the majority of that number is that payment. So she is set whenever we're ready. She's already paid her fees. Then the bottom part shows the rest of the funds and how they're designated to the various designated funds. And then at the bottom there, that general fund, that 37,660, that is the funds available for operations that we're carrying forward into 2021. So that's an accumulation over the years of excess money that we can carry over into next year. And then the next page is a more detail of what the activity in those specific funds. The ones that I wanted to point out on the property and long-term maintenance, that 4,000 of that came in was for the overhead projector. And so of the disbursements, 4,000 is for that, and the 799 they had to do a repair to the furnace. So that's what that disbursement is. Then the Sis Johnson, that was a large part of that went toward the overhead projector, which has gotten a lot of use. So that was actually very timely to have that in and set up. Then the memorial fund, the majority of that was defined in the Brazzi report. There was some money that came out of the Marge Dewey's memorial that also went to the overhead projector. So that's what that is. And then on the Globe and Mission, that negative 12,000, that was actually moved up. That's part of that 72,000 that's sitting in memorial. So it's just moving a payment of up to 15,000 up to the memorial fund. So that looks a little funny, but that's what that is. And then the disbursements for that, there was some Tanzania scholarships and also some water project for Yemen and some food share and the Christmas giving. So that was in the disbursements for that. So that comes down and then to the fund delegation. And then below that, this year, I put in a graph, if you can scroll down, Ron, of the, up to the graph.
I have to scroll very carefully in order to get there. Just hang on a sec. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, it jumps to the next page.
Right. So the North Emmanuel Legacy Fund, which we received in 2018, we invested it in 2 funds with Thrivent. And the blue line shows the cash part of that. So it's our initial investment plus any dividends and things that were gotten into the fund, and any less any fees that went out. So that's the blue line. And then the yellow line, that is the market value at the end of each quarter. And it obviously dipped when the market went down, but it's come back strong. So the value, and this is through September of 2020 because I hadn't gotten the December statement yet. So it was a little over $64,000 was the value of those funds at that time.
Okay. I just want to acknowledge that last year or 2 years ago, 18 people from North Emmanuel Lutheran Church in the North End, which is very sad, it closed after over 100 years of being a church in our community. They had to close, but 18 of them migrated to Galilee Lutheran Church. And then this last year in the parking lot, Carol also joined, so even more people, and others that come to Galilee who haven't officially joined the church but are in Galilees and love to worship and watch online. And I just want to, when they had to sell their building, they divided up the money from the sale of the building and gave it generously to all these different wonderful organizations like Scholarships for Luther Seminary and Shobi's Table and all over. And Galilee also received this huge amount of money. And I just thank you, people of North Emmanuel. We love you. And North Emmanuel continues to shine through us, even all over, spread all over.
I have a question for Bob. Is this money supposed to be used in any particular way, or has any restrictions on it?
There are no restrictions on it.
Come on.
It just needs to be proposed and to the council and approved by them to spend any of the money out of that fund.
Any question for Bob?
Where are you going?
Nowhere.
If there's any question, do you want to continue with the proposed budget?
Would I make another motion to accept, because I think usually you have to accept all the reports. So can I make a motion to accept all of the reports before we get on to next year's budget?
You want us to do that? I was thinking, we do all the financial, we accept it with one motion, but
She's talking about all the things that came before the budget, all the other reports, and I second that.
okay, it has been moved and seconded that we accept our budget as it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I mean, our report, rather.
Accept the reports, not the budget.
Yeah. Is there any comment? If there's any comment, all in favor, make it known by saying aye.
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 Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any no's? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everybody for the wonderful report.
Okay, I'm going to share the budget thing now.
No, Ron, next on the agenda is the acoustical discussion.
Where's that? What page?
I don't think there's a page, but it's on the agenda.
Oh.
It's new business, right? Barb?
Right.
Yeah.
Since it's not on here, I don't know what it is.
So this is very exciting. The worship and music team has been talking about this and working on this for a couple of years, actually. And so if it matters, there's an agenda that's on page 4, and we have gone through all these wonderful things, and now under new business. So Ron, if you want to go to page 4 of the report, but in the meantime, while he's going to page 4, Tim Rand, would you like to speak about this, or whoever in the worship and music team decided to talk about it?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. We got an acoustic consultant that I met at a convention several years ago by the name of Dan Clayton. Came out and looked at Galilee, and the council gave him a little bit of honorarium because he did it, for free, just, to help us out. And I'm sorry I didn't get a report in on it, but we do have a summary report. Ron, do you think I can screen share?
You can't, I haven't seen enough to screen share other people.
Okay, yeah, it says it's disabled. So I'll just kind of, read through the report and try to summarize as I go. There were about 4 or 5 items that he suggested. One of the biggest issues was the choir and being able to hear the choir back in that corner. There's part of it is a lot of the sound gets caught in the corner where all those brick wall area is, and also the ceiling above it. There's these things called glue lamb beams, or these big beams, and a lot of the sound goes up into there. And he suggested making kind of a shell around that area, and we could, build it to so that it blends in with the rest of the sanctuary, and also to do some work on the ceiling to kind of fill in those glue lamb beams. Those 2 things. Also, he suggested removing carpet in strategic areas, especially in the choir area, and they'd be able to put linoleum floor or vinyl floor in those areas. And then finally, little by little, we would look at the flooring and how it's sounding, and removing some areas of carpet underneath the congregation, where the congregation sits. But we have to do that very carefully because it's a small sanctuary, and you can have such a thing as too much success with acoustics in a small congregation, and the sound can become too aggressive and shrill. So then the final thing was, there have been some complaints in the chancel area where the altar is. There's a lot of clomping sounds when people walk on those blocks in front of the altar. So they talked about adding some bracing under the plywood floor and filling in the cavities so they're not hollow sounding. So those are the suggestions they have, and the council was pretty supportive in general of this, but we wanted to present this to the congregation as a whole as well. And Joanne went ahead and met with Ron Jurambek, who's in the construction industry, and talked about this. Joanne, are you there? Do you want to comment on your meeting with Ron at all?
I just have to unmute myself.
We can hear you.
Oh, can you?
Yes,
Okay.
or I can.
Oh, okay. First, I want to say thank you, Tim, for your initiative in talking to Dan Clayton. It's way easier to complain than to actually do something about it. So I appreciate that you've done that.
Thank you.
My conversation with Ron was interesting, and we went through each of the points from Dan Clayton and kind of came up with an idea of not doing it all at once, but
Right.
we first talked about the choir area because I've had complaints that people can't hear the choir from the other side of the sanctuary, and so the sound is getting eaten up in various ways, and people can hear the bell choir on the other side, but not the vocal choir. Yeah, yay, Cynthia. But it's a different kind of sound. And so the first step that we are going to take is I am going to kind of after the whole, well, I could do it anytime, but when we can get a group of people together to actually sing, I am going to rent some of those shells. You can rent them for a while and I'll see how much that costs to see if having a shell behind the choir actually even makes a difference, instead of investing in some and then finding out they don't work. So that's the first step that I think we will do. And then if that works, we'll see about kind of building in the ceiling over the choir so that it doesn't get caught by those walls hanging down. I don't even know what I call them the hanging walls in the ceiling. And then I think after that, we didn't really come up with any plan. As far as taking out carpeting, I know it's a touchy issue, so we need to be careful about that if we indeed decide to do it. I'm thinking that maybe we do some things first and then see how it is, and maybe we don't need to do it all. And then the last thing was where's my list? The triangles. In Ron's, I don't, honestly, I don't notice the clumping. I don't know, maybe I need to pay more attention, but I think a lot of people do. And instead of adding lumber to the triangles underneath, that would make they're heavy enough to move, that would make them really hard to move. And so he suggested waiting until summer and putting, what did I put in my notes? Some kind of foam stuff. So he knows what it would be, and that should deaden the sound some in the triangles. So that's about all we came out with when
I
we
wonder if it's
talked.
because I'm the first woman pastor and I wear high heels only at church. I wonder if I should just change my shoes.
Are you the only one on there? I mean, everybody who notices the clumping, doesn't it happen with everyone on the triangles?
You're talking about the platform under the altar?
Yeah.
When we put the poinsettias up this year for Christmas, Abe was there and helped me. And we actually noticed that there were it wobbled a little bit. The whole thing actually, some of it wobbled, some of it was solid, but some of it wobbled.
Yeah, there are shims that I think are just, we don't put in because you have to do them one by one then. So, but yeah, I agree. That's another issue with the triangles.
Really quickly, I just want you to know that Terry O'Keefe, he just explained to me and showed me that it's because they're warped. And so when you step on them, they touch the ground. So thank you, Terry. Sorry to interrupt.
The reason why, I mean, this thing has been, somebody, I don't know, whether move it and put the wrong triangle to the.
Oh.
But if you ready put this thing and they meet any end, they will not move. Okay. It's just a matter of prime and tight together. That's all it takes.
Okay.
If anybody watches the service over again, you'll notice there's a point where the flowers on the right side are jiggling all around.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the pastor stepped onto one of the triangles at that point. Anyway.
If we can find some able-bodied people, we'll come and see what we can do.
Hey, let's not solve this problem now. I want to know if this is something that the music and worship and music committee is going to present to the council, a decision that we can vote on there. Is that what's going to happen? Or do you want to take a vote now to say go ahead?
Well, shouldn't we be told first it might come in the ballpark of X amount of dollars?
Yeah,
Well,
Lori O'Keefe knows the answer to this. Lori O'Keefe has boiled it down to what we want to say to, which is, Lori, are you there?
Yeah, yes, and I apologize if you hear noise in the background. I have the grandkids, but so what we wanted to present to the council, which has been done, we'd like to move forward with it. We don't have cost estimates, so we need to, and that was part of Joanne reaching out to Ron to see what steps actually need to be taken, and Tim reaching out to his contact who gave us that wonderful synopsis. So the next step is we just wanted to let the council or the congregation know we're moving forward. Now, anyone correct me where I'm wrong, but I believe the council already said you can move forward with it, which we have done, but before you actually do anything, we want to know how much it's going to cost. Joanne, Tim, does that sound right? Jackie?
I think so. Yeah,
That sounds correct.
I think, yeah, and maybe we just do it step by step. I think it makes more sense to do step by step, as I mentioned, that we start with the shells and see how, instead of doing it all and not knowing, doing what we need to do to change the situation.
Right, and so Ron, to your question, we're moving forward and we already believe we have the council's go ahead to start the wheels turning, but before we spend real money, we'll go back, depending on how much it costs, we'll go back and say, this is what we're going to do.
Okay, I just don't remember it coming up at a council, maybe Barb or Miriam or somebody.
Well, I think Jackie's brought it up. I don't know if Jackie's on the call.
No.
Okay.
I remember Jackie bringing it up. Jackie has brought it up at least twice.
Yes.
Do we do a motion to say wonderful? I
can't hear it.
Okay, well, that sounds like a plan. Do you want the congregation to do anything about it here, or is it just for our information?
Our thought was it's just for information because we didn't want to start having a shell up and people say, oh, we didn't know you were going to do that. It's just more getting it out there because again, when we're all virtual, now's the time if we're going to do something in the church where we have, there aren't people there if we want to do some things. So I don't know if it needs any, I didn't think it needed any type of vote because I thought we're not actually doing anything other than informationally. So if people really have a concern, they can say, I don't like what you're thinking about. I don't want a shell up there, or really you're thinking about taking little pieces of the carpet by the choir. It's just so people have a voice.
And I just have to say, we can't really vote on anything if we don't know what the cost is.
Yes, that's Cheryl, exactly. So we're getting those estimates. We don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
I said, Laurie, I think you got a point. If you find an estimate then and know what it is, then maybe some people will agree on the council, some might not agree. Maybe that's when you can come to the council and say who are in favor of us. No. I don't think it require any voting.
I feel like you have notified the people in this meeting, the congregation, of things going on. And I think we usually have a very strong council, that the council themselves will look out for the congregation and everything. But as a congregation member, I appreciate the communication of knowing things that are going on.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Can I make a suggestion on the situation?
Yes,
Sure.
Jim.
One suggestion is hanging microphones from the ceiling, sophisticated ones, and maybe adding a couple speakers. Would that solve the problem? And the other suggestion is we should build a permanent platform, smaller one, under the altar, so it stays right there, and it would be solid. It would be wouldn't make noise.
Yeah, I guess Jim, with using microphones, it's, it's such a small congregation. It's such a small sanctuary, I should say, that I think if you amplify certain things, it gets really complicated. So I guess our approach, and the acoustic consultant, is looking at more surface areas and how sound moves within the sanctuary itself. So that's kind of been, our approach to this. And yeah, that's maybe not a bad suggestion about the altar triangles. But on the other hand, I think a lot of people enjoy the flexibility of being able to move those triangles. So that's something maybe we should talk about.
Yeah, Tim, I got a question. There is a sound, there is a system right in the church or the front door. How will this new sound system coincide with the one we have up there in the church? How would they work together?
Yeah, I think there wouldn't be any changes really. It would just be changing, ceiling and flooring, and having a shell area. So I don't think there were any proposals to change the sound system itself. Right. Now, I've noticed when I've sat in the congregation, in the back on the left side, it sounds like the organ's too loud. So I've been, as an organist, concerned that I think that in general we play the organ maybe too loud volume wise, because the sound doesn't get across, to the organist. That's a pretty complicated thing to solve though. And I think the flooring surface in the congregation area would have to do with that more. But it's not an easy answer.
Okay, thanks for the comment. Okay.
I have one more comment.
Yes.
While you were talking about microphones, Howard came downstairs and the dog started barking, so I had to. But anyway, if you said this already, forgive me, please. But we have tried microphones. We have this big mic stand where I got a microphone that was supposed to be for a big group, and it really didn't work, because you're always going to get the person right next to the mic be the loudest. So anyway, if you said it, I'm sorry, but that just wanted to mention that microphone stuff does not work.
Well, I did say sophisticated microphone.
Well, this one was pretty sophisticated at the time. Maybe there's more, but I think that you still will get the person next to the mic, the loudest. So if anyone in the choir wants to volunteer to be that person, okay.
Yeah, I suggest that we're like an hour and a half into this meeting that we move on to the next item.
Yes, I like it. Thank you, Ron.
Sounds good.
Bob, should we just go into the proposed budget?
All right. So, yeah, Ron is
Get to it.
bringing that up. We did go over it after the service last week, so I will just hit some of the highlights. The proposed budget actually did not change much from the budget for 2020, just because of the uncertainty involved in next year. What we did change was the council suspended the rent payments from Minnesota Faith and St. Paul Friends last year because they were not meeting in the church. And so the budget is, I just took a number and said, okay, half the year, then we'll be back for half the year. So the budget for the rent is half a year for those two congregations. Then we are proposing for salaries to not have any increases in 2021. My hope is that the same thing, the way that we did 2 years ago, where at the end of the year, we were in a position to pay, I don't know what you call it, a makeup or a bonus or something, anyway, pay them something extra at the end of the year when we knew we're in a position to do that. I'm hoping that will also be true in 2021, but the budget does not anticipate any revenue, any salary increases. In addition, related to the salary, the budget does not include a choir director or the choir accompanist until fall. So it's like half the year. So we would not pay them from January through May. Now, what we were able to do in 2020 because of that PPP loan, we received a loan of $22,000 under that program. We were able to pay all of the staff through the end of the year. But next year, the budget is suspending the salary for those two positions until fall, when hopefully we can actually get back together. Other than that, there was not a lot of changes in the numbers. So Ron, if you want to go down to the bottom.
Down here?
Yeah, so the last page.
Oh, after this.
After this.
Whoops.
Comes down, so at the end of the day.
Dang it.
We're saying that our potential, what we're looking at is revenue of 146.9 and expenditures of 164.2, which is actually a deficit of a little over $17,000, which is higher than we normally would have a deficit. However, that you'll see there that carry forward that I talked about before, that 37,600, that reserve that we have from prior years. Even under worst case scenario and our budget, actually our actual ends up being that far in the negative, we have the funds to cover it and we would still come out ahead. So although the budget deficit is a little larger than we normally would have, I'm comfortable because of our reserve carry forward. Because you'll see in the first column there, that because of the PPP loan, we're actually carrying over $8,500 from 2020 into 2021. So that's part of that 37,000. So I'm comfortable with these numbers, even though they're a little larger than it might have been in the past. Any thoughts, any comments, any changes?
And then Any question for Bob?
I just want to thank you. My entire family has amazing health insurance and clearly a solid salary. And I know that's because of the commitment all of you have to Galilee Lutheran Church. And I just want to thank you.
Are you looking for a motion? Is that what you're looking for?
That's what we're looking for.
I make a motion that we accept the budget as stated by Barb.
I will second.
Who seconded?
Teresa and Joyce together.
Okay.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we accept our budget as it is. Is there any comment? If there isn't any comment, I would like for everybody to just show their hand up if you accept the budget. All right, thank you. Bob, thank you very much for the hard work you are doing and you continue to do. Thank you very much. Can we give her a hand? Let's give her a hand.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Oh, man.
Now we come back to some leadership matter.
Nominations.
So we have on the nominating committee, there are just three were those that come.
32.
What three that left the council, but I will be. And we have some people that have decided to replace us. So that's me, Jackie, and somebody to replace Bob. And then we have Jim Hart, who decided to continue his post. So we have Caroline and Kayla, and we have Louis Furman.
I'd like to suggest that Louise Furman, who's a new young adult, that her term be just 1 year term, if she's willing, and if we vote for her to join the council. She's an incredible brand new student at the University of Minnesota studying nursing with a full load and working also, and we would love it if she'd serve, but I think our young people could do one term. I mean, 1 year.
Of course, if she loves it and wants to stay on, we would be, we would accept it.
Well, Ron, I mean, she called me after we invited her to the first meeting. She sent me a text message yesterday. She said she misunderstood us, that they were going to go for 3 years. So I said to her, you know what, we just want some youth representation on the council. So we'll use her as somebody who will encourage the other youth, you know, to help her get along. But I told her she will go 1 year, that'll be fine.
Louise.
I have a question.
All right.
Now, Bob had agreed to be on council for 1 year. Is he going to continue the next 2 years or is he done?
Well, he wrote me a letter telling me his reason why he left, you know.
And he's right here.
And
okay, so is somebody taking the second 2 years of his term then, if he's done?
Well, we're looking.
I was finishing a 1 year term. I was finishing a 1 year term left on a 3 year term.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were, okay, thank you.
Now we have, Jim Hart will stay, he's going to stay on, and his wife wants to be on the council.
Right. So as I understand, we're still short one person, right? But if these three were approved, we'd still could have an extra person nominated if anyone's interested in being on the council.
The Constitution says we can have from 7 to 9, so we are in constitutional.
We're okay to stay here, but if somebody wanted to join the council, they could do it.
And I think there was a question that came on that had Pastor Terry and I pondering about. Yet is somebody from a different church that have been baptized.
No, let's not get into that.
No,
Let's not get into it.
she's not getting into it again.
No, she's not here, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, whatever you want. I didn't mean to interrupt our president, Abraham, sorry. I'm gonna throw in one tiny thing before he speaks, which is, Louise, wouldn't it be cool if Nija and Tana and Deshawn, Monique, Liana, we got another young adult to be that extra person on the council, something to think about. I don't know if they're here present today, so I suppose, but, or Kendra, thanks, sorry.
So if we can go with 7, like Marion said, well, we have somebody to nominate the list we have.
Abraham, don't let me tie your mouth without be quiet. You say anything, you spirit will do, yeah, sorry. Oh. You go for it, I'm sorry. I really.
We have to nominate people.
Okay. Great.
We have the list up there with somebody nominate them individually, or we should just take them as a whole and say we accept these 3 votes. We have to.
Would they like to see it?
Okay, let's do this way. Here I am, I'm leaving, but Jim Hart decided to take the position as president. And Terry going to stay on as vice president. And we have Jackie leaving, and I think Steve decided to act as secretary, to be secretary.
Good luck with that.
Who agreed to be president?
Jim Hart.
Who's vice president again?
Terry.
I'm so grateful that people are stepping up and interested in serving. I know we're a bunch of shy people, but would anyone like to say a few words? Jim Hart or Carol Ann or Louise, you want to just say hello?
Sure. Hi everyone.
Louise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to accept the nomination if I'm approved, on the condition of 1 year, just because nursing school will continue to get harder in the next 3 years, so, but I'd be happy to serve.
Thank you. Thank you. And now Jim Hart is going to make a
I'd like to give, Abe, I agree on the nomination for the president. But I want to give, let all of us give Abe a good hand for 2 years in a row, he's our president. Let's give him a big hand. I know Gabby accept the president. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Jim Hart served multiple years as the president of the, not the Moose Lodge, of the Moose Lodge, and also at North Manuel, who was on the council.
No, Vice President.
He was vice president of the council in North Manuel. He is very comfortable and fluent in the role of presidente.
So when I ask somebody to at least nominate our president,
I move that we accept the new members of the council from the nominating committee and the officers that we've chosen for next year. That we approve that group.
I second the motion.
Amy did? Okay.
Yep.
Discussion, could we make sure to change Louise's commitment to 1 year, not 3 as the nominating committee, as it's on there?
Right.
all right, we have third round, and these are our new members, and all these people are accepting Jim Hart as our president, Louis Kramer as council member, Terry as our president, and vice president, and Steve as our secretary. Make it known by putting your hand up. And Caroline as our new member to start. All right, so these are our new members. There's the new government we have. And I promise that the whole government, just like how Joyce Silver stood by me, helped me up. I think that's how I'm going to work with the new council and to help Galilee grow.
Beautiful.
Thank you all for the time I said, and this is your new government now you have.
We have a peaceful transfer of power.
Quite.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
I didn't hear us vote.
We made a motion with all the members. And I asked for who all accept, put your hand up. And we did.
Here and have their hands up.
Yep. Half the people are muted, so they can't really just shout out yes anymore.
You can
Right.
hear muted.
So are we, any comment, if we don't have any, if nobody got any comment, I would ask for a motion for adjournment.
My only comment is I recognize you are all volunteers, and so thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving your volunteer time.
Pushing on the floor.
Motion on the floor, right? That's all.
Tell him.
Motion for adjournment.
Yes.
Second, did I hear a second?
Good.
Can
Oh,
I,
I think
can I,
Laura did too.
Second.
Joanne, and who else seconded that?
Louise.
Louise.
Seconds.
Okay.
So thank you for your attention. It now consider this meeting adjourned, and let's all have a very good 2021.
Yeah.
Thanks for your cooperation.
Ron,
And thanks for your patience, everybody. This has been interesting.
Uh-huh.
A little obviously faster than we're all in the same room.
Ron, can you hear me? This
Yeah.
is Cheryl. Who's vice president next year?
Terry.
Terry is continuing his.
Oh, Terry, okay.
Terry, right here, right here.
Are we adjourned?
All I get is hollow sounds. I don't.
We're officially adjourned.
We are. Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
Bye,
goodbye.
Joanne. Good to see you.
Good
Goodbye.
to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom
Peace
come
out, everybody.
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day
Oh,
our
our daily bread, and forgive the trespasses.